So welcome to the Dirt Bike Breeder podcast. It's a very special episode today. Unfortunately, our van had been damaged severely in the storms here in Canberra, so we've managed to find our latest guest in his shed, surrounded by some very beautiful bikes, and not the colour that I'd go for, but that's another conversation. Who have we got here?
Simon Arthur.
Simon, how are we?
Well, thanks.
We're going to call you Simmo because that's
Call me Simmo.
Everybody calls you Simmo or Raven. You don't know which one.
Raven. Simmo's good, Jeremy. Yeah, thanks.
Thanks for having us in your shed.
Pleasure, mate. Thanks for coming down and
absolutely.
having us on for a chat. I'm excited.
Oh, it's good. We really wanted to get to you before Easter when you do Condo 750, but obviously the van is gone now to get repaired, and we weren't going to line up. So I'm glad we were able to find you in your shed. Just a regular Thursday night, I suppose, for you out here in the shed.
You'll find me in the shed quite often, mate.
Yeah,
fiddling, tinkering,
fixing. I mean, that's what you're going to do with these KTMs, right? Fix.
Oh, all the time, mate. In the shed, 24/7. No, they're good. They're bloody good.
No, well, look, mate. I suppose let's just start off. Let's get people to know who you are. Who are you? And how did you start into motorcycles,
mate? I had my first ride on a motorbike. I pretty distinctively remember it in Western New South Wales when I was about 4 or 5 years old. Cousins had bikes on the farm, Pee-wee 50, jumped on it, have a go at this. Couldn't get me off it. Actually couldn't get me off it, and absolutely loved it. Not sure, birthday or Christmas following, sure enough, 1981, Pee-wee 50, yellow one, turned up, and from all I can remember as a kid, I was on bikes, and then I progressed, onto a bigger bike and everything. But yeah, hooked me at a young age. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but I think it was the independence and the control of doing your own thing, and then also being able to improve at the same time. But
the freedom would also be a big thing because you're from the south coast as well, so you would have had a bit of place to ride down there.
Yeah, it was good then. I could ride. I used to ride my bike to the bus stop and leave my bike at the bus stop, come home from work, get on my bike and ride home or go for a ride or what have you. So, yeah, you're right. The freedom was an adventure. Was a big thing for me, probably from a young age, from that age as well. So exploring, it was a freedom machine. I still call my bike now.
Yeah.
Today, a freedom machine, and it let me escape and go and do my own thing and discover and see things.
Well, absolutely. And the two bikes we've got here are definitely freedom machines for you, but we'll get onto it a bit later. So when you obviously started riding your Pee-wee 50, what was the progression into, say, motocross? Was it kind of a quick transition? Were you riding a Pee-wee when you started motocross, or did you move up?
No, so I was just getting around on the farms and everything. We started to push. I learned to drive earth-moving machinery pretty young. Started to push a little bit of a track in and bits and pieces. But it was the circuit thing, I think, that got me into the motocross. So I'd set a circuit up, and I really enjoyed working on that circuit and improving and getting better and better and better and better. So then my dad took me to Surf Air Speedway in Maruya for my first. They had a motocross track inside the speedway.
Oh, right.
And it was quite suitable for juniors.
Yeah.
In 1991, went there. I had a Honda CR80 and started racing motocross. And yeah, loved it, straight up loved it. And then progressed a little bit. The most significant race I probably ever did was a Peter Jackson Supercross Masters on a, couldn't tell you the year model, but Suzuki RM80 in Canberra, which was a pretty big introduction to serious motocross.
With the big boys now.
Yeah, with the big boys, and that was difficult. I struggled with that.
Yeah.
I probably hadn't ridden anything quite like that, and went straight in the deep end. But that's probably what I've done most of my life is straight into the deep end.
It worked out well, though.
Yeah, no, and that was good. And then I didn't do much juniors after that, like 125s. I think I first ended up on a racing in Canberra, I guess, when we moved to Canberra after school. I didn't race much through school and everything because of funds and bits and pieces.
Yeah.
And then after school, ended up back in on a 250.
Yeah. Which was about the 2000s when you started racing again. Kind of, obviously, you could get a bit more funds behind you to start riding again, start racing. And is that where the love for the KTMs began?
No. I owned the first YZ250F in Canberra, which was 2000, I think, when they first came out. They were a little bit behind the YZ400. And spent, I must have had good half a dozen Yamaha 250Fs. It wasn't until 2017 that I'd actually even thrown a leg over a KTM.
All right. Okay, so it's quite, your progression to KTM was quite late, and it was all Yamahas before that.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And so you had you broke your leg about 2003-ish, which kind of derailed your riding for a little bit, is that right?
Yeah, it did. I'm not sure exactly why it derailed my riding, but it did. It was...
Because you were doing quite well up to that point too. You kind of got back into it, and you found a rhythm, obviously, and you'd won a few races, and then what? Just kind of psychologically or funds?
Might have been. I think it was probably a combination of lifestyle and some other things as well. But I did get back on the bike after that, but didn't. I don't know. It just wasn't there for me. The time wasn't right to be doing it again, and I went off and did some other things. But no matter how many times I've strayed from the bike, I always keep coming back to the bike.
Well, that's it. So, kind of, you know, we're obviously skimming through a bit of the timeline here, but you broke your foot, and then we find you go straight into cars. Is that right? You went into the, I think you did your first hill climb was in a Mitsubishi Evo, which, I mean, it's a bit of a questionable car, really, but that was your kind of intro into the car racing scene for a couple of years.
Yeah, and I think that was around 2003, 2004. So, yeah, that was probably... I had a mate that I used to race bikes with, and he said, I've bought a car. Let's go car racing. I was like, yeah.
Well, we all need mates like that.
Why not? Who am I to say no to that opportunity? No. So, yeah, we started off some hill climbing, then some tarmac rallying, and then I ended up circuit racing for a couple of years after that.
But it's successfully as well. I think when we did, our deep web stalking that we do, I think
There's no secrets, huh?
No secrets at all, mate. Your first kind of tarmac rally was the Dutton Rally, and you won it, and you actually won a few stages as well. So that's definitely going to kickstart the car career.
Yeah, we did well in the tarmac rallying scene. It wasn't navigation tarmac rallying; it was more shorter stages, but nonetheless, it was we did quite well at it. We set up our own car and did all our work on the car ourselves, and enjoyed that. And that was a good social thing also.
Did it get competitive as well? Because I saw you picked up a few sponsors through that kind of period of racing. Did it get competitive,
mate? Of course, it was competitive.
But you said social. It's quite a fine line.
I mean, once you've got that thing, which I have, everything's a competition.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm there to win, to try and win all the time.
And so, how long did that go for? That period of you racing cars?
Must have been up until about 2006. So I raced. I did some Formula Ford stuff. I did a year in Lotus Cup Series. Yeah, I saw the Lotus Cup Series. So that would have been a great experience to have to be able to drive some of those cars. That was good because I got to drive a lot of the iconic Australian racetracks like, Eastern Creek, Phillip Island, Bathurst.
Really?
Yeah. So that was exciting, and
that would be an amazing experience.
Yeah, and we did quite well in that series straight up as well.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah, that was, and enjoyed it.
And Formula 4 as well.
Formula Ford, stepped into a Formula Ford a little bit, did A1, when the A1 cars came to Australia, did the round at Eastern Creek in Sydney, which is Sydney Motorsport Park now, I think it's called.
Something like that.
But did a couple other little Formula Ford rounds, but Aussie racing cars. I did a season and a half in Aussie racing cars, in the little half-size kind of Falcon shells and bits and pieces
Oh, right, okay.
with a motorcycle engine. But they were the closest thing to riding a motorbike or getting the thrill was the little Aussie racing cars. You know, you might have 4 abreast into, turn 1 at Eastern Creek, say, flat out. So and they were noisy and alive. So that did give me some kind of thrill, the Aussie racing cars, but it never gave me what I got on a bike. So then, of course, I came back to a bike again. I had a little bit of a break, work and life and bits and pieces, but always come back to the bike, and now I'm back on the bike and enjoying it more than ever.
Yeah, so obviously your time on the cars, I mean, you're pretty dedicated to the cars. What do you think you've pulled away from that time in your car, now you're riding bikes? Running a team or like kind of,
I think I took
race
more from the
weekends?
bike
Really?
to the car,
Yeah, okay.
if that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah, and the car's something that I would like to explore later on when my shoulders are no good, which is not far off, I think.
About 2 more condos, I reckon.
Yeah. So yeah, that's something I'd like to explore again, definitely. But just being at a race weekend and around the motorsport is something that I always enjoyed. Yeah.
Yeah, and so obviously, and then that leads us straight back to the bikes, and that's where you are now. So you had obviously a brief period from the cars to the bikes. I mean, you travelled quite extensively around Australia and things like that. What got you back onto the bikes?
Just the need for that thrill. There's other ways to get thrills, definitely, but the most healthiest way for me is on the bike.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So I come back on the bike and, mate, after racing or going away doing it, like I'm a different person. It really satisfies this thing in me that I have to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously that's what got you back into racing bikes instead of just casually riding them on the weekend. That drive to be competitive again. Do you remember what your first race was going back on a bike after the cars?
There's no such thing as a casual ride on the weekend, by the way.
No, not for you, mate. Not at all.
Even with the boys, it's always a race.
Yeah. That's the only way to improve, mate. You just got to go ride with faster people. That's my excuse anyway. So, but can you remember that first race?
Can I remember my first race on a bike?
No, after coming back from the cars. So you went to the cars, you had a bit of a break. You then obviously went and bought yourself a bike, which was it a KTM back then?
KTM 350 XF.
So why the step up from the 250 that you were riding before?
The different discipline. I'm not a big guy, so I always believe that in less is more. I may have learnt that car racing a little bit as well. But, I wanted something with a bit more power than a 250, but not something heavier.
Yeah.
And I didn't want the big bike, the 450 is, for what I wanted to do, motocross and enduro and bits and pieces. So the 350 was a no-brainer. After I rode one, I was just like, wow, this bike's made for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so obviously you went through Canberra Motorcycle Centre to get that your KTMs, is that right?
Yes.
Well, they kind of coaxed you into the KTM. Did you kind of go in there knowing you wanted a Yamaha and they coaxed you there over to
Pretty much, yeah. The guy, a friend of mine that was sales there at the time, he said, mate, forget it. Take these 3 bikes for the weekend and come back and talk to me. So we did. A mate and I took 3 bikes down the coast and they didn't come back in the same condition that we took them, mind you. But
yeah, you had to end up buying those 3 bikes.
Yeah, but KTM got me as a customer then, for sure, and so did the motorcycle centre. And yeah, haven't even really considered riding anything else after that. Maybe, I mean, the 450 I use for rally, for example, and I'm looking at also riding a 450 for desert this year. So for Finke and Hadar, I've been riding the 350 for the last couple of years, but I feel like it's probably not quite the bike for those events. I mean, I've been trying to prove to myself that it is, but I think I have to really accept that maybe it's not, and I'll hopefully have some little bit better results on a 450.
So what do you think's lacking between the 350 and 450? Because you're a good size for the 350. One of the guys that ride with us, Little Noodle, he's pretty much the same size as you, and he rides a 350 and he loves it because of that. What do you think? What are you lacking with the 450? Is it just the speed?
Yeah, it's just Finke's got some open stuff.
Oh, it's only a little bit of open stuff in Fink,
Yeah, but there is some open stuff, and Prologue also.
Yeah.
Prologue's very fast, and I think I will go faster on a 450 at Fink for Prologue, and I also think I can be faster through the race.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I could be wrong, but I'm going to give it hopefully going to give it a crack if I can sort a bike out.
It's only 50 cc's more, mate. Go to the 500.
Yeah, I notice a big difference between the 450 and the 500 when I ride them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I'll leave the 500 to the big boys.
Get a couple more inches and a couple more kilos, mate, and we'll see you on the 500.
Yeah.
But so you've got the bike behind you now. That's a 350. What year model's that one?
That's a 19.
19, right. And so you had that last year with a few of your races that you went through. And how'd you find that one, obviously, compared to your last ones, the ones you first bought when you got back into, obviously, the riding? How are you finding the comparison?
Look, they're not a whole lot different, the 17, 18 and 19. They're a great bike to start with. They've made small refinements and adjustments. But, yeah, no, I'm super happy on that bike. I've got a 20 that I'm about to hop on.
Nice.
And everyone says that it's a better bike. It turns better, this and that. So, I mean, I'm already happy on that bike, so to be on an even better bike, well, be pretty excited about that. Yeah.
Well, all right, let's obviously we jump forward because we talk about bikes. We can do that, but we'll go back. You went from cars back to bikes. What made you get into the deserts and kind of the bigger enduro stuff compared to the motocross you were racing before?
Desert. So I started off doing some enduro stuff, New South Wales off-roads and local stuff.
Yeah.
But I was trail riding with a bunch of mates, and I've got an auntie that lives in, and a cousin that lives in Alice Springs, and we've got a family kind of attachment to the place up there. Plus, I really enjoy going there anyway. And I was with the boys trail riding, and I said, "Let's do Fink."
That's it.
And they all said, "Yes, let's do Fink." And that was it. We went to Fink for the first time in 17. All of us who was there that day, we just went, "Yep, let's go." It wasn't super successful the first year, but it was a hell of a lot of fun. And you get me out in the desert for any of that kind of stuff, whether it be camping or touring or
absolutely
any time. Absolutely love it.
God's country.
It is God country. So going to Fink's super special to us and the family and everyone. It's yeah. So
just a spur of the moment, like you're riding, you're like, you know what, I'm enjoying this at a slow pace. I'd enjoy this way better doing like 130 Ks.
Yeah, I think it was the unknown as well, and the challenge.
Yep.
That was the attraction about it and where it was, etc. And I'd obviously seen bits and pieces about it, and the boys didn't know much about it, but I said, "This is what it's about. Are you guys in?" And they just all said, "Yep, we're in." And so since then,
you conned them. You're like, "Oh no, it's just a nice casual ride. Don't worry about it, boys. You've done a Transmoto event. It's exactly the same as that."
Yeah, they didn't all get exactly what I got out of it either. Like most of those guys probably maybe won't do it again. It's not quite their thing. But for me, it's awesome. I can't wait to go back to Fink. Yeah. This year, it's going to be really tight with going to Morocco actually, which is a difficult one to swallow, but it is what it is.
Oh yeah, we'll touch on Morocco, but that's a once in a lifetime opportunity that we'll look forward to talking about. So you did Fink, your first Fink. Tell me, how was the experience doing that? Like, just for you, doing the race, experiencing, or what did you walk away with? Kind of, obviously, a bit of a sore ass and legs and arms.
Mate, my first Fink was a complete disaster. Okay. That was 2017. I didn't finish. Our little dog GT was with us, and he got mauled by dingoes on race day.
What?
In the morning.
Oh
yeah, God. So Fink 17 was tragic. It was horrible. Like it just it was devastating.
Yeah.
To lose our little mate up there, but anyway, we buried him up there and as they say, life goes on. So we got organised to go back again in 2018, and had a consider it a pretty reasonable result. No accidents, one piece, fourth in class, which was what am I 40 to 45-year-olds.
20th outright too, wasn't it?
No, definitely not. Don't remember exactly. Made the top 50 2019.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm thinking of this. Yeah, okay. Yep.
You think it's some really fast guy?
Yeah, I'm thinking, that other Simmo out there racing,
Yeah, that 2019 was fourth again in class, which was frustrating, but I had a little bit of a technical issue on the run home. Prologue much better.
Yeah.
So not finished with Finke. Definitely not finished with Finke.
Yeah, I mean, Fink is always one of those things. I guess you're never going to be happy until you're podiumed or you're not in it anymore. So it's I guess for you, it's always going to be that kind of that next peg in the board to try and keep beating. And I suppose good luck because you're an idiot. I ain't doing that.
A lot of people say that. Yeah,
it's
pretty hectic. But there's a fair crew going again this year that have done it before, and there's just something about it, mate. It just draws you back there. As dangerous as it is, and as mad as we are, going flat out through the desert and the dust like that, it's let's face it, that's half the thrill. The danger and the thrill go part and parcel.
Absolutely, we were very lucky to go to there and back the Fink movie premiere, and we caught up with you there as well. And that I took a couple of mates who'd never been on a dirt bike before, and I was like, hey boys, come to this movie premiere, and they're like, oh, what's it about? And a motorcycle. Oh, they're like, oh yeah, it's going to be some like MotoGP or some kind of by the time they left it, they were shaking and needed a drink. So it's kind of it's really amazing to see what the Fink can kind of inspire from you. And that was a great movie. Like it was fantastic. And I'm definitely gonna have to buy it and show the missus, or not show her. Actually, probably not show her. So then
careful.
I probably shouldn't show her. But
you won't go that fast.
How's no one won't go that fast? I got a 2-stroke, mate. It'll vibrate my teeth out if I went that fast.
I think the movie There and Back is fantastic for motorcycling.
Yeah.
Because it's reaching an audience and people that don't know about what we do, don't know about Fink or the desert or anything like that. So I think to the ordinary person like your friend that isn't into bikes, doesn't understand what we're about, and probably thinks, oh, those crazy guys, what are they up to? Gets a really good message across, and a lot of people go, wow.
Yeah.
So that's what you do.
Well, I mean, those two boys are going to come
I had
with us.
no idea.
Yeah. That's it. Those two boys are going to come with us when we go out there. They want to witness this event. So, yeah, I think the movie was great for not only the sport, but just Fink itself. Plus, it also gave the riders a great platform to show what they can do, and it also pays respect to a great rider. But we won't ruin the movie for everyone, but it pays respect to some great riders, and it was a good night.
It does, yeah. It's a wonderful story, and a lot of people said to me, all they said to me was, I get it.
Yeah.
Now I get it.
Yeah. There's a reason you do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get it. So, after you did Fink, that was your taste for the desert. What did that kind of stir up inside? Because obviously you didn't do 2017, so Fink is kind of a good position in the year to continue if you wanted to do some other desert racing. Did you follow on after Fink, or did you kind of rule that year out, 2017?
No, I did Hadar 2017.
Yep.
Which was awesome, and I can't wait to go back to Hadar. But there was also a realisation around that time, maybe a little bit later, that came to me that was that I'm not that young anymore. I don't have the intensity or the outright speed that a lot of guys that I'm racing against have. So that's where, and my sense of adventure, and that's where I saw rally. And I thought, well, rally, that's it. That's where it's at for me, because I don't have to ride, 10 tenths all the time. But then there's this other aspect with the navigation. It's something that's always interested me anyway. maps, adventure, reading a map while you're driving and calculating and, estimating distances and all that kind of thing. So that's when I decided, well, why don't I give rally a go? So Condo 750 2019 was my first road book nav rally.
Yeah.
And that was cool. It was a pretty sharp learning curve, and I threw myself right in and tried to go like a maniac straight away, and learnt that that's not how you do it. But
No.
But the nav stuff and doing that while you're also riding is something that's really got me at the moment.
So obviously you said that Condo was your first, Condo 750 is your first rally. What kind of prep did you do leading up to that? Because you'd done no navigation before. As you said, your tarmac rally days, that was all non-navigational. What made you want to go, hey, I'm going to sit on a motorcycle and navigate and do that speed? What kind of helped you along to get to Condo?
There was a guy down here that had done it a few times that I spent a little bit of time with and talking to. He said, he was a big part of that in inviting us along and come along. Why don't you guys come along and give rally a go? And I'm like, hell yeah, sure, no worries. I'm up for that. And yeah, mate, I just pretty much set a bike up with Canberra Motorcycle Centre, and Sid helped me set a bike up. Road book on the handlebars, long range tank, bang, off you go. Had a look on the internet how the road book works, and there's a tulip there, and it says do this, that, and there's a distance there, and that was it. Just off we go.
Baptism by fire. Just get in and see what happens.
Yeah,
that's the best way to do it. And as you said before, you just jump in and see what happens. Straight in the deep end, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And swim.
Yeah, well, that's a very good point. And so your Condo 750, that was kind of when the bug really bit you for rally then, because that's what you're kind of doing now. Can you remember what it was like walking away from your first Condo?
Very painful.
Yeah, very painful.
Very painful. On day 2, I made a navigational error amongst a bunch of other guys that also did, and we were riding around in a paddock, all lost. Reading our maps and bits and pieces, and there's a big lesson I learned there. If you're lost, stop on the side and get it all together. But we were kind of riding around looking for the right way, and I hit a log in the paddock in the dust. First gear, going quite slow, but sitting down on the road book, and it shot me over the handlebars onto my left shoulder, and I did a grade 3 tear to my AC. So went, ooh, that's not very good. Got the bike up. By that time, someone had worked out which way we were going, and off we went. So I finished the last maybe 300 kilometres on the Sunday with my AC hanging off, which was painful. Like the first service I got to, I banged a few Panadol and Nurofen, but yeah, that was pretty painful. And the ride home was, I took myself to hospital on the Monday morning when I got back to Canberra, but the ride home and the pack up was, yeah,
rough.
It was rough.
Well, it's a rough trip all the way out there.
Yeah, it was all right. I coped with it, but yeah, it was bloody sore.
Yeah. So then obviously Condo 750,
but hooked nonetheless.
Well, yeah.
Nonetheless, that I was hooked on it. I didn't quite gel with it. I didn't quite get the hang of it. It wasn't until a later rally, but I was already it had me. Yeah, got to explore this further.
Yeah, and you've also done like the Yellow Mountain out Condobolin Way, and how do you enjoy those kind of races?
Yellow Mountain's awesome. It's crazy fast, and there's no nav. It's just a track that you're following with markers. It goes through farmers' paddocks, through creeks, and over the Yellow Mountain, and through some rock tracks and a little bit of single track, and it's super fast. It's another race that I've done a couple of times in the 350 where I've got to have a go at that on a 450.
Yeah.
But that's going out to Condobolin, meeting all the boys out there and the social side of it, and seeing all the people that come out to watch, and all the farmers that give up their paddocks and their time, like marking that course. It's 240 odd kilometres. A hell of a lot of work goes into it. So yeah, I'd really like going out there and supporting those guys. that's a really good race.
Absolutely. Well, Condo Autosports is just down the road from us, and we're quite lucky to be able to ride with guys from out that way. And yeah, there's a lot of time that goes into just those kind of marketing tracks, and obviously Jake and Todd Smith. Go check their episode out. They're big names out there, but as you were saying before, there's a lot of young guns coming through now that way that are fast in the desert. So it's going to be a good year to kind of for you to see if you do step up to the 450 how you go and mixing it a bunch with them.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Hopefully we'll get there again. And on the 450, I gave a lot away down the straights. There's a lot of big straights there, and I gave away a lot on the 350. There's not a hell of a lot of tight stuff. So, yeah, I think the 450 will be good there. But some of those young guys there, they've got no fear and their skills are awesome. And they're like, I watched some of those guys, and they're awesome to watch, like, belt through that desert at high speed. It's awesome.
Yeah, we don't bounce as well as they do. They can bounce a couple more times, but we just kind of bounce and drag, and it takes us a much longer time to get up than they do.
Yeah. I remember seeing one guy crashed at Condo, and his high-speed crashing got flung around, his boot flew off.
Was his foot in the boot, or was it just the boot?
He still had his foot on because he was running around with one boot, and where's trying to find his boot. I'm like, mate, you're lucky to be even... standing up, found his boot, and as far as I know, I'd left by that stage. He got going again, but yeah, there's some tough buggers out there too.
Yeah. If I'd seen someone fall off and crash and lose their boot, I would stop riding. But no, that's it. No, obviously this is not my forte.
You're right, mate. Yeah, I was looking for my boot, right?
All right, yeah, okay. All right now. But you've also done some with the New South Wales off-road as well. So you won that. Was that last year? You won
2018.
18. What 2020?
Yeah,
Sorry, 2020.
Yeah, I know. It escapes us.
Yeah, so that was 2018. You won. In the was it the young man's class? No, it was a veterans class.
The senior citizens. No, it wasn't even. It was the mature man's class.
Yeah,
35.
The refined gentleman's class.
What 35 to
62.
35 to 45.
Oh, 45. Yeah, okay.
Or something like that. Yeah, so that was a series that I wanted to do some more enduro racing and time card. I'd never done. I did my first 4-day in 2018 also. So the time card enduro, that was another thing that I'd never done that really interested me.
Yep. And
which I'm really keen to do the 4-day this year as well. Hopefully we can make that happen in Victoria. Should be sensational down there. So I chased the New South Wales Off-Road Series 2018 for something to chase, just to learn about what goes on. And yeah, that was successful. We ended up coming away with the championship for that year.
Yeah.
And a lot of new friends and some good times.
It's always a good experience in New South Wales Off-Road. I mean, we talked to Jess Gardner and she really, really enjoys it. Do you think you'll ever possibly step up to the AORC?
Thought about it? Absolutely. AORC is definitely on the hit list, but at the moment with the rally road that I'm taking, maybe some rounds I can fit in. There's a round at Dungog in March, AORC, which I will most certainly get to. Nice. That's in the diary, but it's the rally thing's really at the top of the priorities at the moment, so it's taking.
And you also said you've done the 4-day as well, which was kind of the next lead on. So, obviously, how do you enjoy the 4-day?
Love the 4-day. Loved it because it adds that extra aspect of keeping your machine going for 4 days with nobody else touching it. You've got to change your tyres, your oil, fix things on the go, brake pads, whatever else it may be. So that interests me. I've always liked taking pride in looking after my machine myself and I always like to set my bikes up myself, and I help some other guys also set their bikes up. So that's part of rallying also that's quite interesting. But for the 4-day, that's awesome. You go flat out on special tests for 10 minutes, then you pull off. You might want to check something in your bike or have a music bar, bang, you're off on liaison stage to get to another stage, which you have to get there in a certain time. So it becomes like a trail ride because you're always riding with someone else, and then you do another special test, and for 4 days of that, where you might be doing 250, maybe 300, maybe 200 kilometres a day in the scrub of practicing, predominantly single track and some fire trail as well, is and then ride back into town to Parc Fermé. It's exciting. It's awesome. I like doing that.
I guess it's also good exposure and ride time for you as well. 4 days on a bike is good prep for rallies as well. Especially if we're gonna drop the Dakar at some point down the conversation. So doing 4 days on a bike really gets you to understand the bike and understand how to maintain it for 4 days and how to maintain yourself as well. Because that's the other thing. Your rally riding, especially like Condo and things like that. There are days you have to look after yourself. So all these kind of long rides are always going to be benefit for you.
Yeah, you've got nutrition and
hydration. What's nutrition?
Yeah. And hydration and all and all that kind of stuff. Well, you can't have a beer while you're on the bike, Jeremy. So
that's why my racing career is never going to take off.
So, there's a hell of a lot that goes into that. Winding down of an evening and relaxing. You have to have your downtime and relax and have some sleep to go again the next day. So yeah, that's all a big part of that. But I also, back to the practicing there, or for rally, racing is the best practicing, I believe. So the more you can race, no matter what it is, whether it's supermoto or flat track or enduro or motocross, I believe that you can't replicate that intensity that you have when you go racing. So a 4-day for me before a rally, will elevate my riding fitness and strength on the bike for sure.
And when you I mean, we're going to jump through timelines, but when you went back to the bike from the cars, what was your training then to say training now? Like, is there much difference in your training? Or do you just basically bike training?
Mate, basically my training's on the bike.
Yeah.
Try and ride definitely twice a week.
Yep.
At the moment, I can't do any other training really because I've just done my AC in my right shoulder, unfortunately.
Was it another hidden log while you're doing 10Ks an hour reading a map?
Mate, it's just on a trail ride with the boys, which,
But you're saying your trail ride is a 4-day, isn't it?
You know how it is. And yeah, just hit a rock awkwardly and over the handlebars down a hill and onto this shoulder. And that's 2.5 weeks ago. And it's actually remarkably well, and I'm back on the bike already. So I'm thankful that that's not a lot worse than what the X-rays show. That it's not very good, but somehow it's working. But so I can't do any weights or any kind of physical circuit training or anything at the moment. But that's on the program when I can get training again.
And what were you doing before? Obviously now, like when you first got on the bike, was it a lot of gym stuff, or were you just like, oh, I'm going to ride and that's kind of what I do?
Yeah, no gym stuff. No.
Gym's a horrible place. Don't go there. It's
like the push-ups and the running with the dog and walking with the dog and that kind of stuff work. I'm a builder, so I'm always carting something around at work and all that kind of stuff. But the bike stuff for me has normally just been on the bike.
Yeah.
But now it's time that I need to do a little bit more off the bike as well. Still ride as much, but then add a little extra in off the bike. Yeah,
just for those downtimes where you can't get on the bike. I suppose that's where I do mine. Like the only reason I do gym is because I can't take the bike with me as we're traveling. Like, I'm here in Canberra now. I'm here for 2 days with work. I can't bring the bike down.
Let's go, mate.
Yeah, I'll take the adventure bike and we'll hit some single track.
Headlights.
So yeah, I guess it's just wherever you are and what you're able to have. If you can go riding 2 times a week, then do it. And I'm all for that, but just some people can't. So you're quite lucky to be able to do that. But I suppose for you want to try and get a bit of a balance in there as well. So we said your New South Wales off-road, your 4-day, which is kind of back on the cards again. Do you think? I think last weekend you did Stadium Cross. Is that right?
Yeah. So Wagga, Mum's in Wagga, so that when that came up, I was like, oh yeah, for sure we'll go down to Wagga and do some Stadium Cross on the Enduro bike.
Yeah.
Which was didn't quite know what to expect. I'd only done a Stadium Cross maybe 15 years ago. Done quite a bit of motocross since, but Stadium Cross is closer to Supercross, I guess, than anything else. Didn't quite know what to expect. Pulled up there and walked the track and went, whoa, what have I got myself into here? And was quite intimidated by it. But then thought, oh, well, we're
In
here.
the deep end, mate. You got to start swimming.
Exactly right. And
you turned up with the adventure bike though. That's your downfall.
that probably would have. That thing's that capable. Would probably get around there quite well. But followed a guy, quite quick guy in practice. I tucked straight in behind him in practice, and he towed me over all the obstacles that I was intimidated by, and then we were right for the rest of the night. It was quite tricky. The track was the condition changed quite a lot throughout the night, but came away with no injuries or anything like that, and had a race win. So that was pretty good. But thoroughly enjoyed it, and a good bunch of people down there, and racing under lights and all the other stuff that goes along with it was good fun.
Plus, you get to go down to Wagga, mate, so it's an excuse to go down there.
Mum cooked me a roast. It was perfect. Thanks, Mum.
And you've also done a few of the leaping log races as well around the place. How do you find them?
They're fun, so there's something to do in between other races. For example, it's nice to support those clubs out there in the Riverina because they mark out some pretty cool enduro tracks. Speaking of which, I think Tarcutta's got a round of New South Wales I'm not going to say ORC. I think New South Wales off-roads at Tarcutta this year. So I wish those guys the best out there. That'll be very good. There's some nice terrain out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, Leaping Logs out in the Riverina is a great enduro series, and it's a really good one for someone who's just learning enduro or just wants to go do a bit more competitive stuff, or even just ride some good trails. I mean, they mark out these great trails. We all know how much time consuming it is to mark trails out, and it's kind of limited on where we can ride legally, etc. as well. So to go to Leaping Log, it's not expensive, and then you get to jump on a proper racetrack and run around. So yeah, it's a good entry level series of Leaping Log for juniors right through to seniors, and it's a well run series.
Yeah, I think, as you said before, it's just a good little filler races. Obviously, the big desert stuff is quite spread up. Unfortunately, there's not a real race series here in Australia to be able to keep your rally riding up. So it'd be good to fill it in with these little races to keep you kind of bike active and got that need for racing filled.
Yeah, it comes back to the racing's the best practice for me too, I believe. So even though it's a small series out there and it's not super competitive and you don't get the big names heading out to Leaping Log so much, but you still go there. I still go there to race. If it's a sprint series, I'll look at my times and I'll be trying to better my times session after session, and I believe that's really good training and supporting those clubs and supporting the racing that is what allows us to go on to bigger and better things.
Well, definitely supporting the racing. I think that's a big one nowadays, is really supporting. So I think before we break, because I mean we've almost hit the hour period again there, mate. So
Raven, call me Raven.
Raven, mate, you're Raven. So there's so much more we want to talk about, but we're talking about support. Who supports you to obviously be able to do all this kind of fun stuff? Who do I need to talk to get my free stuff?
Yeah. So I've got some personal sponsors that have been with me for a while, helping me out, but I get some support from every little bit counts. I get some support from KTM Australia. I get some really good support from Choice Suspension in Victoria, in Kyneton near Melbourne, and WP Suspension Australia. So those guys work together to help me out and give me the best suspension that money can buy. And my bikes, I've got the gear in my adventure bike and on the race bike here. And
so how much do these two bikes, obviously this is a podcast, not everybody can see all bikes are behind us, but go to YouTube and you'll be able to watch the video. Do that. We have an Adventure, a 790. How much kind of modification and suspension is on this bike compared to just if I went and bought one myself?
That's got the pro spec stuff in it, bolted straight in it. Anthony's, valved it. But you can buy that bike now, which is the KTM Adventure R Rally. But you can also buy that suspension to bolt into your Adventure R. Mate, that bike's, quite simple. Suspension, massive improvement. Like they're
simple
already
bike for simple people, eh?
Yeah, exactly, simple Simon. But a lot of people say to me, "Oh, well, what's wrong with the standard suspension?" Oh, we didn't notice. Problem said, "There's nothing wrong with the standard suspension. Like they're super capable bike." But to go to that extra level and have that advantage against the guys that you're racing against, that's what you need. And on that, inspires so much confidence. It's that bike is remarkable to ride. It really is.
Well, we're going to talk about this because this is all part of the KTM adventure, but that's obviously after the break, so people have to hang around. Your 350. Now, you've done so many different kind of enduro racing and also desert racing with that. You say, you did Hatter and Finke on that bike, but then you've also done the 4-day leaping log, things like that. How much change does it go through? Do you change out whole suspension components, or is it just a few clickers for you?
Really, I can ride that bike anywhere at any event. Stadium cross. That's enduro spec suspension in that bike. A few clickers here and there, and that turns it into a motocross bike.
Yeah,
like that suspension is so responsive to adjustments. So that's a pretty broad setting in that I can take it just about anywhere.
So do you run that same setup and think?
Yes.
Wow.
So few geometry changes, a little bit of clicker changes here and there, but the fundamentals of it are unchanged.
So where did you get all this knowledge for, geometry changing and clicker changing? Was it all self-taught, or were you lucky enough to sit down with some gurus and go through it to figure out what works for you?
I like to understand what's going on.
You can tell me then what's going on. I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, so I take pride in understanding what's going on with the bike and why it's doing this and why it's not doing that, and why they say, you need your fork longer for this and that. So, obviously, Anthony's taught me a lot as well, but I take pride in setting my own bike up and understanding why we do things.
Yeah,
and questioning things. Always questioning. Well, is that actually the right thing to do, or why are we doing that?
Do you mind putting my money in the right things, or is this just going to hinder me? And it's amazing that you can use that bike for all stadium cross, enduro, rally. It's a credit to both you and the suspension guys to be able to make a bike that does that, because there's a lot of people out there I know have two sets of suspension, one for the harder, well, not the hard enduro, but enduro single trail riding, and then all of a sudden to the desert they swap it out. So it's amazing that you can find that.
Yeah, and there's nothing fancy about that bike. You won't see bling and unnecessary bits and pieces hanging off it. It's got standard foot pegs.
It's already got so much unnecessary stuff. It's got a big orange sticker on it, mate. Really unnecessary.
Yeah. It doesn't have. It's not a. I don't believe in fancy and
single power part on that whole bike, mate.
Oh, none. A couple, surely.
I was trying to give you some cred, mate. Don't worry. I can't see it. Don't worry, buddy.
Yeah. No, it's pretty simple. I'm always taking the simple approach to things, and if it's not needed, why do we have it, or why do we change it? Just because there's some glossy ad in a magazine that's telling us we need to do it doesn't necessarily mean you need to do it.
Yeah, you're speaking to kind of like a majority of the riders that I'd ride with, so don't be too harsh on them, mate.
Yeah, be careful who I offend.
Yeah, I think Alex has every power.
Sorry, the aftermarket industry there.
Yeah, Alex is your key target demographic there. He has every part, but so obviously
he must be fast, is he?
Oh no, but he's rich. He ain't fast, but he is rich. He is North Sydney rich. So
I'll tell him to come racing with us.
I need a
teammate.
He's backing us, mate.
Yeah, beauty.
No, he backs our stupidity. So who else have we got to thank for you getting here?
So a friend of mine who has a family business in Canberra, A+ Towing. He's been with me for a couple of years now, helping me out. We burn a lot of fuel driving around the countryside, etc. So that's a big part that he helps me with, fuel. Some friends in Cooper Pedy that we met 2017 on the way to Finke. We went to a restaurant there and met these crazy opal miners there, top blokes. They came on board 2018 and started helping us with our desert racing campaign. And they've become good friends, so that's cool. That story's always cool to be a part of in motorcycling, and that they're like, oh, we'd love to do that, blah blah blah. Can't, they're busy, mining for opal. Well, next best thing, we'll help someone else that's doing it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome.
Shout out to those guys.
Yeah. So that's another part of going to Finke every year, is going to visit them in Cooper Pedy, and they're you know, quite the fellas around town. So every time we go there, they'll take us to somewhere different or more exciting.
Different place where they hide bodies, obviously.
Yeah, a lot of that goes on there. You know, they'll take us through a working open mine.
Oh, nice.
They'll take us to, you know, an underground church or something that's quite interesting out there. And yeah, Bullivik Mining, those guys are. So if you're in Cooper Pedy and you need to know something or you want to, you know, the go-to, they're the guys.
You need to go to church real quick.
Yeah. Go to the Serbian church and look up those guys. Another friend in Canberra who's got a cleaning company, commercial cleaning company, City Industrial Cleaning, Jorge. He's recently come on board to give me a hand. He's interested in the rally stuff and all that kind of stuff. So I thank George for that. Another mate that I do a fair bit of riding with, and I used to race cars with, Martin at Fishwick Exhaust. You know, all the little bits count. You know, it's expensive, and whatever help we can get is always welcomed.
See, it's good that the people that are behind you really believe in too. You know, it's like people. It's not just, hey, give me money, I'll put your sticker on my bike. It's really nice that you've got people that either believe in you or that you actually support as well. So it's really good to be able to see that nowadays.
Yeah, it's about building relationships, isn't it? You know, like they have to be getting something out of it. You just can't be asking people for money, you know. So there's always a little bit more to the story, I think, with most sponsorship arrangements that you'll find in motorsport and bits and pieces like that.
Absolutely.
But always welcoming new relationships,
mate.
Obviously.
We helped Ben Young. We gave him a whole $1, and he put our logo on his shirt for Dakar. So we're happy to give you $1 to put a logo on your bike.
Mate, it's very kind of you.
A whole $1 too.
Is it $1 a sticker or?
Yeah, $1 a sticker.
How many stickers?
It was right on his chest, and that was all we got. So that was the best $1 we could have asked for. But look, how about we take a break? We'll maybe have a bit of a walk around. We can and then get back into it.
No worries.
Awesome.
Thanks, Jeremy.
That was bloody awesome. Yeah. We gave them everything they wanted. Did we?